right, welcome everybody. My name is Mark Lucanville. I'm the commercial leader here at MileMaker, and welcome to our series of partner profiles. We're excited to share a really recent announcement that's going to benefit the MileMaker product, benefit our partner Farelanes, who we'll meet Andrew and Neal in just a second. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do for those folks who don't know us, and that will lead into why this partnership is going to be so beneficial to our clients, both current and future. So MileMaker. For some of you that do know, that don't know, we're the commercial mileage arm of Rand McNally. So we are the mileage routing and mapping company that's been around for 150 years, but mainly focused on how commercial vehicles, trucks, semis, vans, flats, reefers get from point A to point B the right way, right? Avoiding low bridges, weight restrictions, hazmat classifications. It's true mileage and routing and mapping technology that helps both shippers, carriers, and brokers find the optimal route, the cheapest route, and the most accurate miles. And so when we think about partner series and what we're going to talk about today, MileMaker, we really want to find businesses to work with that can help not only our customers, but our future customers continue to drive value out of their supply chain beyond just mileage and routing. Mileage and routing at its core is a very essential part of the supply chain process, but it's a smaller part, right? But when we connect it to an ecosystem of larger solutions, it becomes almost an invaluable part of how you manage day-to-day operations. An improperly routed shipment could result in fines and damaged vehicles and late shipments, causing customers to jump ship or ding your vendor scorecard. And so it's important for us to find other businesses that we want to partner with that again help our customers continue to optimize their supply chain and continue to get value out of us and the relationships that we bring to them. So that being said, we've got some very special guests. I've got Neal and Andrew on from Farelanes. I'm going to kick it over to them for some quick intros, and we're going to learn about their business. We're going to learn about why Farelanes, what they do, and how they help our clients. So Neal, Andrew, you guys want to do a quick intro?
Yeah. Hey, Mark, thanks for having us on. We're excited to be a part of this video this morning, and then also partnering with MileMaker. My background, I spent 10 plus years in the factoring space, really building solutions for our clients. I helped build a mobile app, helped build a load board, rolled those out. And then I actually got the privilege of traveling around meeting with hundreds of brokers and shippers across the country. And without a doubt, the mileage is a big component of their business from a standpoint of pricing. Just about every office I sat in, without a hesitation, people ask, "Hey, Neal, can we see your lane data?" Right? They want shippers and brokers. They wanted to know how to price a load. And on the carrier side, from the load board side, I had carriers calling me up going, "Hey, Neal, I hate your load board. You don't put a price on those loads." Everybody needs to know how to price that freight, and they need to know an accurate way to do it. And that's really the genesis and the gist of what Farelanes is all about. Our goal is to take accurate data from purchased invoices, clean it up. Andrew will share a little bit about that later, but also then publish it back out. It helps everybody in the equation. It helps the shippers know how to price their freight, helps the brokers know how to price their freight, and it helps the carriers know what they need to ask for when they run a load from city A to city B. So we've launched Farelanes 2 years ago. We're excited to see the traction it's getting, and without a doubt, we're excited to be a part of the MileMaker family.
Thanks, Neal, and thank you, Mark, for this opportunity. My name is Andrew Cohen, and I've been with Farelanes with Neal since the beginning, and it's been quite a journey. We started our career together, Neal and I, back in the days of when we had hair. Or at least some of us had hair. But we both went to school together and started our first job together with a telecommunications company, and we went from there. I spent a lot of time in the pricing space in aviation, and being a very similar vertical to logistics, in that aviation also moves freight as well as it does people, and it kind of considers both things very similar in the way it's priced. That experience was key. And Neal and I got back together some 5-6 years ago, and we had this vision for essentially taking the logistics industry into the 21st century with pricing and bringing the visibility and the transparency that you see in aviation to logistics. And that's really been the journey of Farelanes, bringing the fair price of moving a load from point A to point B to everyone who touches the transaction, enabling them to get what's fair for them and right, and therefore, by doing that, enabling the shipper to feel as comfortable as the recipient.
Yeah, great. Well, while we're on the topic of history, I think it's important, and you touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to dive a little deeper into the why behind Farelanes, right? So why, at your core, did you see a need in the market to develop this product, and then why both of you guys, right?
Yeah, so let me start that off, and then Andrew can
Sure.
chase it. So back to that the dialogues I had. Here's what we heard. Here was the challenge in the industry. Because there's pricing solutions out there, but people were very dismayed with the accuracy of the data that they got, if they got any data. And I think in our demo a little bit later in this dialogue, you'll see some of that stuff that goes on in the space today, right? There's a lot of obfuscation. There's a lot of fuzziness. There's a lot of inaccuracy in what's out there on the market. So people got frustrated with that. I mean, they just had no idea how to price a load on a specific equipment type on a city pair on any given day. So I heard that loud and clear, and I was like, we can solve that. We can actually do our solution in a unique way, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, that will literally provide real-time accurate data. And once you do that, the transparency is there, and people can move freight a lot more quickly and more efficiently if they know the price of a lane on a given day.
That's true, Neal. And fairness was the key. I mean, when we sat down, we said we've got to be fair to everybody that's involved in the transaction, and the economics have to work. And that's the other side of this. There are many companies, many groups out there that really try to solve this problem. And they've tried for years, and they've built big companies around that. But the reality is many question whether or not they've truly solved it. And we looked at it and we said, we see the solution, and it's not presenting the data the way the industry is used to seeing it. And that is, with a spread of a percentage of maybe 10 or 15%, but actually providing what that lane price is exactly. In other words, for yesterday, what was the lane price, to be able to accurately predict what today's lane price will be. Much the same way the stock market follows a stock and creates an index. And so that was our approach. And we said, the only way this works is if we get our data from trusted sources. Well, the only trusted sources are the people who pay the invoices. Okay, and those are banks and factoring companies. And so we said, okay, our relationship needs to be with those companies, and we need to take their data in real time. And that way we know it's not duplicated, it is accurate, and we also know that it's been paid. And it includes not just the rate confirmation price of the load, but all the accessorials along the way that were included in that load. And this is where I think we really separate ourselves from everyone else. And that is to say, we know what the accessorials are because we take those apart from the number and provide those in a number of our products so that you can look at that. And you say, okay, that's one part, and then you can then look at the number and say that was the rate confirmation. That was where you begin. And the other thing is, while 75 to 80% of the market is dry van, flatbed, and reefer, there are 25 other equipment types at least that move along the roads every day in the 1.5 million trucks that traverse our country. And providing those rates is something no one is doing. And we provide those rates as part of our standard package to everyone. And so those are the key bullets for us in terms of why Farelanes.
From MileMaker's perspective, and we look at where we've come from in the history and why we're doing what we're doing. And big goal of ours is to reclaim our throne atop of the market leader in mileage and routing technology. We've been doing this for over 150 years. We know that we have the best routes out there. We have the most truck attributes.
Right.
We have the most up-to-date mapping solution available, but it's beyond that, right? We got to think about the use cases and why specifically people use mapping and routing and mileage technology. And then, as you mentioned earlier in the interview, it's all around pricing, right? It's around like, how do I formulate a number that accurately reflects how the shipment is going to move, especially if I'm paying my carriers on a per mile basis, right? I need to know exactly how that truck is going to move from point A to point B, but then it goes one step further. And I think that's why this partnership made so much sense to us, was if I can benchmark this prior to the RFP actually being created, or if I'm looking to respond to an RFP and I know where the market is dictating this from a costing perspective, I could be more competitive. I have a higher chance of winning that bid. And then two, from the shipper side, I have a better shot at forecasting this, right? So we've talked at a high level about your solutions, but I really love to dig into the use cases specifically of what your solution provides.
So, and that's a good point. And let me start with the budgeting, because I think you hit on a real key that we're hearing from pretty much everyone, and that is the budget line is the line that they take the largest guess at every year. And it's the line that moves around the most. And to be able to forecast accurately, you have to start with knowing what the price is to begin with. And that's where there's really been that black hole where people, take a guess at the beginning, but it doesn't really get any better because no one completes the circle to say what really happened and what did I really pay. And we complete that circle. So we give you the ability to accurately forecast, not just a rolling forecast, an 8+4 or something like that, but then to take what you actually spent that year and say, okay, now what do we project our business growth to be? And then to be able to look at that and do a projection, not just from your data, but from our historical data that shows trends in what's the market done over the last 3 years. So you can look at what the expectation might be for next year. And that's also part of what we provide in our data sets, and having all that historical data, much the same way aviation uses its historical data to produce its rates for not just passenger revenue miles, but for cargo. And so that's a big part of this. The other side of that is everyone talks about the outbound, but no one talks about the return or the backhaul. And we have tools that show the carrier from any particular city where they're going to drop a load, what that backhaul opportunity is in terms of which loads are going to what cities out of that drop city, and what those rates are, so that they can look at the cities and the rates and select the one that will give them the most profit to the city they want to go to. So I mean that's again a huge plus that no one else really does.
Yeah, and having accurate mileage is important, right? Because even back on my days on a load board, Mark, I would have carriers call in and blast me up about not having a rate on a lane, but I would ask them this question: well, how much does it cost you to run your truck a mile down the road? So having accurate mileage from city A to city B is paramount to really knowing how much it costs you to run your business, and then we can help them know that, hey, they're running their lanes at a price that's fair and it's actual, and that they can actually have a higher success rate because of that.
Yeah, I think that's part of the whole reason why, and getting a little deeper into what this partnership actually looks like. We have I'll talk a little bit about our side, then I'll have you guys talk about your side, but we're going to take the Farelanes solution into our mapping technology and allow our customers who are utilizing our map, specifically for that same use case that you just mentioned right there, Neal, because relative to like Google Maps and whatever else that exists out there, how a car goes from Los Angeles to New York is completely different than how a 53-foot van has to go.
That is absolutely right.
Or a reefer, right? Based on wind conditions and weather conditions and all of these different factors. And having a solution like MileMaker relative to the commercial industry that you're in is the only real and accurate way to know exactly how you're going to get from point A to point B. Now, that being said, pivot back to the budgeting side of it, the difference between those car miles and those truck miles could be negligible, or it could be very, very significant. And if you're not routing it appropriately and it is significant, or even if it is small, but you compound that thousands and thousands of time, that's either money that you're not accounting for in your business, or an opportunity to ask your client for more, right? An opportunity to save. I mean, just depending on how the route goes. And so what we want to do for our customers who are utilizing our map technology, and then, even if not, making strategic introductions, is being able to say, when I look at a route from Los Angeles to New York, for instance, and I'm pulling miles for the specific purpose of rating, why would I not be able to just click a little button and turn Farelanes on and see what that forecasted cost is going to be? That way I'm not having to change between browsers, log into multiple different screens, make phone calls out to people. The idea is we're trying to make it an all-inclusive experience to get what they came there to accomplish. So that's how we're planning to do it. I'd love to, understand more about your guys' side.
Well, so let me jump real quick, Andrew, and then you pop in. But you're hitting on a key topic. And what you said earlier, we have a saying when you said, hey, if you have a few miles here and a few miles there, they add up, right? What we always say is a small number times a large number, it's a large number. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. And if you don't really understand the miles and you're missing out on fares or higher rates because of that, then that's a bad thing. So the combination of MileMaker and Farelanes could be really powerful for the users, because when they make a little more on that lane, on that mileage, because they know they have the insight, they're educated, well, they're going to do better. And so that's really the goal. And they're doing it at a fair and reasonable rate and model.
Neal, it certainly is exciting for us because we've been using Google Maps, Mark, and that. Right. And your mapping technology and tools and APIs are far better than anything we've ever seen before. And I think you hit on some of the things, but for me, certainly the accuracy of the mileage as it relates to the route and catching the right route. And Google does focus more on cars than on trucks. And so, avoiding the bridge that the truck can't fit under and things like that, or going through on a road that's not meant for trucks, or even better, you provide alternate routes where there are issues on the roads, and then we can price those alternate routes accordingly. And we can do that. You can do that. The integration, we're doing sort of inverse integrations here, where you're integrating our APIs and we're blessed to be integrating yours. But it gives us the ability to be a lot more accurate and deliver a lot more options for how to drop that load and how to take that load from point A to point B accurately, including fuel pricing, including tolls, including alternate routes, including what the weather is conditions are, and all of those things that really you don't see that level of detail. But being able to show all the accessorials along the way is critical. And we couldn't be more excited about being able to put that better product out in front of the customers with MileMaker.
That's great. Well, I think we've covered a lot on current state. I want to talk a little bit about future state, and then probably for what everybody's most excited about is actually seeing what the Farelanes product can do. So first, regarding MileMaker's roadmap, one of our biggest roadmap goals over the next 1-3-5 is we want to integrate with as many partners like Farelanes to help our customers find additional value, to bring them solutions that we know that can help their business. We actually just made a recent key acquisition that's going to allow us to take our product really to the next level, right? So we have a lot of opportunity for people that have ideas or say, hey, I think that there could be a really unique use case for putting mileage into this solution or bringing MileMaker into this. So that's what we're keeping open doors. We're having great conversations with folks, trying to make sure that we're building the right ecosystem around individuals and customers and businesses like Farelanes. And so I'd love to learn more about Farelanes plans over the next 1-3-5 and then really dive into the product.
So let me speak to a little bit, Neal, and then you jump in behind me. So we're in the midst of over 10 integrations right now with different partners ranging from TMSs to factoring partners to, to banks and to other technology providers that provide different aspects of the logistics journey. And depending on which partnership that is that we're integrating, and certainly, integrating with a world-class brand like yours is certainly, a lot of visibility for us. But getting the data to be able to support this world-class relationship is as critical. And so being able to partner with those that can give us tens and hundreds of thousands of transactions per day and per week and per month is really critical to our success. And we are in the midst of doing that. So what you'll see from that is more depth in the primary 37,000 lanes, and then increased depth in the overall 300,000 lanes across the country. So for MileMaker customers, as well as Farelanes customers, they'll be able to get much more accurate pricing and deep pricing. So the accuracy improves the larger your data set, and right now we're right around 20 billion in spend, pushing the numbers now. Our hope is to double and triple that over the next 12 to 24 months, 12 to 18 months, that sort of thing. And at the same time, and with those integrations, and enable our pricing products and enable people to not only get the price, but match the load to the price, be able to pick up the load and actually price that load, take that load, and dynamically bring that together. So take those journeys and allow them to map it out much the way people map out buying a ticket on an airline. It can be a round trip. It can be a 3-stop, a 4-stop, a 5-stop, and home. We expect to be able to deliver those kinds of tools for not just the owner operator and the 1 to 5 truck guys, but to the much larger, 10, 20 truck, carriers that really try to plan 2-3 weeks ahead. Neal?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to leave that future vision to what he just said. I will add a couple of bullets around. Right now, we're focused on the lower 48 truckload spot market predominantly.
Right.
We're adding in the ability to pull out the contracted rates and things of that nature. We're adding the hazmat, as Andrew mentioned earlier. For the next 18 months, Mark, I mean, we're excited about just scaling and growing our current user base and all that. But we do have some bigger visions that I think we'll be announcing over the next 6 to 9 to 12 months around some real nice industry changes that will help the industry at large, right? So we're very excited about some of that, and we'll just have to come back around on our next call and talk about that. But right now we're excited about the baseline we've got. We can support a smartphone, a tablet, a desktop. We can support a $500 million brokerage with APIs. I mean, down to a 1 truck carrier. So we're excited that we cover the range of users: shipper, broker, carrier, factoring company. Talk to us. We can do whatever, right? So that's really kind of where we're at on the platform, and we do have a roadmap, which we'll be excited to share more later.
Yeah, I think that's a very key point, and that's why it's so important, even if you're not looking for a solution right now, to keep your ears and your eyes open to the market, right? Mm-hmm. I think all of these problems, they're so, like, you might not know it exists until it happens, right? But if you're not prepared for it, then you're reactive. Versus if the industry's in a little bit of a downturn right now, you have some extra time. It never hurts to evaluate the vendors that you're currently using right now, and then evaluate what else is out there in the market, right? I might not have budget to do something in the next 3 months, but if I know that I can make a strategic decision when I have a budget, it's going to prevent that procurement process from taking 1.5 years. You'd even recognize the savings that you could get. Take the time now, explore the businesses that are making real change in this industry. At minimum, follow them on social media, right? Stay up to date on what they're putting out and what their product's doing, which is important. We'll put some links to our socials below and some emails so that way people can get a hold of us. But I say let's jump right into it, right? Let's take a look at the product and how it works in action today, and how people can use Farelanes combined with MileMaker to help their business.
Mark, this is Farelanes gold screen. This is our main dashboard. And as you can see here, I've added a number of different lanes, and as you can see, Dallas, Texas to Brooklyn, New York, and I actually sent that through a zip code. Brought up a load board because one of the things I wanted to show people was as you look at a load board and you look at the particular loads, the majority of them don't have rates. And not having a rate when you make the phone call to actually pick up that rate, to pick up that load, you need to know where that discussion is going to go. And in this case, I grabbed this city pair, San Juan Bautista to Fullerton, California, and I actually added that load right down here. And what you can see is that load comes up at a $750 load price or $1.80 a mile. So when you make that phone call and are looking for that load, you know where you have to be for that lane as of right now. And that will really help you in your negotiation to actually pick up that load. Whereas, there really is no other way for you to know that unless that's a lane that you run every day. And even if it is a lane you run every day, you might be surprised how many people don't get the right rate for that load. So that's one of the big features we have in the product is a dashboard where you can monitor the city pairs that are important to you. We give you the ability, and this is where we were talking about, Mark, the optic for the MileMaker visibility into Farelanes. We allow you to put three lanes up in our scopes, and then we allow you to put in each of our tickers up to 3 lanes, and we'll keep track of all 9 of those cities for you all the time. And then you can add as many city pairs as you want to the screen. But having that price, that load price, and that price per mile is critical, like I said, to knowing what you're going to have to get for that load at any given time.
I want to call out the ticker real quick because the first time you showed me this product, I thought how valuable this was if I'm running consistent freight, right? If I'm a carrier that's dedicated on the lane, and I think you have Cleveland to Houston right there, right, as one of them. And I know that's a lane that I haul 15 times a week for this one customer, and I don't think about it because it's contracted and it's it's just something that I just turn on and I go and I go and I go and I go, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, if I've got this ticking across and I'm charging $1.10 a mile, and I've been charging $1.10 a mile, and things change, and all of a sudden the market's dictating $1.69 a mile. And I wouldn't know that unless I looked at it, right?
That's right.
What's going to cause me to go look at it? Nothing, because the freight's just there. Now I can have an educated conversation with my shipper, with my customer, my provider, and say, look, this is what the market's dictating. I think that maybe it's time for us to get a little bit of a bump, but you wouldn't know that if you didn't have this data in front of you every day.
No, and that's true, and so in addition, that's right, and we like the ticker metaphor because it's kind of how you follow the indexes on Bloomberg, and we said, why not use that same metaphor, and that way, regardless of the screen you're on, that's always there, you'll always see it. At the same time, we said we know people are going to want to look at other routes, and the dashboard is for that, and to the extent those routes are something that are your favorites, you can actually say, okay, these are my favorites, and your favorites are always there. And if you want to watch how that price moves during the day, you can just set that price up here, and you notice there that price went down 2 cents since the last time we read the database for that one. And that could be an hour, that could be 8 hours, but that's critical in knowing. And we give you that ability to understand exactly what's going on, and no other tool does that. And we believe, that 2 cents could be the difference between make and break.
Absolutely. Well, think about this from the shipper's perspective too, right? I mean, this is, you think about buying the dip when relative to a stock market, right? I mean, spot's the same way. If I have a lane that I'm consistently moving with a dedicated carrier, but all of a sudden the stock markets drop like crazy, and I have an opportunity to to save my business thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Whether or not I choose to take that opportunity, at least now I have visibility into the action that I could take.
That's right. Yeah.
No, that's exactly right. And we also give you the optic here to be able to say, let's say for that city pair, what is the history on that lane? So here you see Dallas to Los Angeles, and you can see not only what is the 3-day rate, but again 7 all the way back, and you can actually watch what that rate is doing, so you have a really good feel for where you need to be.
Yeah, Andrew, just the pop-up blocks that you keep seeing, that's where we break out the accessorials, and you'll see that in the detail.
So that's where all the accessorials break down. That's right, and that's a feature that you can turn on and turn off in our gold and platinum product. And there are a number of differences between silver, gold, and platinum, and certainly you need to pick the one that matches up with your focus. What the other thing we provide, and we provide this, and it's actually recalculating it now for us, is top rate. So I'm going to let that recalculate because it's actually going to go through and it's going to grab the top 50 cities. And while it recalculates, Mark, you talked about, the RFQ process. We provide the ability to drop a spreadsheet and actually price an RFQ. And so you can actually drop a spreadsheet right here or go grab one. If you can download our template. And then here's our template. There's already some city pairs in this template. So I'll show you, we can just drop it here and it will price those, and then it will give us back the pricing for those city pairs, right up here. So we'll go ahead and open that up. And I'll show you what that looks like.
Yeah, but imagine, here's another great use case for brokerages, and your sales guys are consistently making phone calls out to new prospects saying, hey, add me to your RFP, add me to your RFP. And then all of a sudden you get 30 or 40 of them in versus taking the time to individually go and tell me what's the market doing on this brand new lane, this brand new lane. Imagine there's 5,000 lanes on that. And then you compound 10 or 12 different customers. You wouldn't be able to do anything else throughout the day, right? Now there's a quick way to say, look, I can take as many swings at the plate as I possibly can. Maybe one of them hits, right? But now you can do it more effectively and more efficiently. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So this was I had 2 city pairs in here, and you could see that it brought back the average price, the total number of miles, and then the high and the low. And that way, you have that available to you to be able to price with. Here you see, these are the top cities, and I'll go ahead and make that a little larger. There's top 30. We've provided 63. We usually provide between 50 and 75, and you can, sort that so you can look at the highest to the lowest and understand what's paying, the best, both by line haul rate and by mileage, which they're not the same. Typically, it depends on the, whether you're looking for line haul price or price per mile. But there's an example of a Texas, Louisiana that's paying almost $10 for a low boy. So I wish I had a low boy to run that, right? I mean, that's certainly not bad. But I mean, it lets you really understand the cities and what they're paying currently, the top cities. And this is generated in real time.
I think it's important to note that the theme here is, if we have all of these different data sources that we can take relative information in, aggregate that data, and then provide it to you in a format that allows you to make good business decisions, that's what you want in a partner. Right?
Exactly.
I think another important part is to talk to me about this isn't the only way that your customers can consume this data, right? You have APIs.
That's correct.
Directly into their operating systems. Yeah.
That's right. We have a set of APIs that are available to our consumers, much the same way that MileMaker provides APIs, and those are out there under Postman, available for anyone to use. They just need to contact us, and we'll give we'll work out getting them the appropriate credentials for the APIs. But That they're all out there as well with all the examples and etc. So yeah, that is available. And we actually have a lot of people using those, much like I believe you do as well, Mark.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, again, the theme is we can meet you where you're at, right? And it goes back to just setting up that conversation and having an exploratory meeting, right? Figuring out what your business looks like today, what it could look like if you implemented solutions like MileMaker, Farelanes, or MileMaker with Farelanes, or Farelanes with MileMaker. Right. But right now is the time to do it. Right now is the time to evaluate what's out there. The market isn't going to be this way forever, right? We know this. If you've been in this industry for a long time, like we have, there's ebbs and flows, right? So it's going to come back up, and then there's going to be times where you're working till 8 o'clock at night and you can barely have 5 minutes to eat a sandwich real fast. But right now, when you have the extra time, it's important to take a look at what solutions exist out there, how you can make better decisions for your business. And then when that time comes and you need to implement something like Farelanes and MileMaker, you already know how we exist, what we do, and in what ways you can utilize our service. Well, I think that's a great time for us to wrap. We'll drop some contact information below. I really appreciate everybody who tuned into this series. What we want to do from MileMaker's perspective is to continually publish partner expos like this, letting you know who the people that we're working with are, who the people that you could potentially be working with as well. There'll be contact information below. If Farelanes sounds like a solution that could help your business, reach out to myself, Neal, Andrew. Neal, guys, Andrew, thank you guys so much for the time. I'll leave last thoughts with you. Anything that you want to share with the listeners?
No, hey, again, thank you, Mark, for the opportunity to partner with MileMaker. I mean, you've been outstanding. We love our meetings weekly, and we look forward to working with your group and vice versa.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It's exciting to work with MileMaker and Rand McNally. You guys are great partners.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're excited too. All right, make sure you reach out. Make sure you're following social media. Make sure you're educated on what exists. Thanks, everybody.
All right, see y'all.